Good morning, everyone. That's right, again. Good morning, everyone. I'll speak louder. Okay. Well, as always, we're here for an important meeting. You're all here to hear what's to be said and to make judgments on people. So why don't we all rise to salute our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag As usual, we'll start our meeting today with announcements of the people in the audience. Now I'm going to call on our Vice President, Stan Goodman, to do that. Stan.
It's my pleasure to announce the following dignitaries and guests. Please hold your applause until the end. Edward Saul, District Secretary for Representative Emily Schlossberg. Mike Pratt, Palm Beach County Property Appraiser's Office. Dana Ackerman White, Commissioner Dave Kerner's Office. Kurt Jetta, U.S. Congress candidate. Hilda Ojeda, Property Appraiser's Office. Margarita Pierce, Administrative Secretary, Palm Beach MPO. Terry Mitzi, District Manager, Senator Joseph Abruzzo's Office. Lloyd Commodore, candidate for County Court Judge.
Good morning.
Jenny Caesar, Congresswoman Lois Frankel's Office. Leslie Schreiber, PBSO Sheriff Bradshaw's Office. Neil McAuliffe, Judicial Candidate. Mary Lou Berger, Palm Beach County Commissioner. Janet McMillan, ADT Security. Alexis Andres, Florida Sugarcane League. Nick Urin, Director MPO. Sarah, also from GL Homes. Ramsey Bulkley, Deputy Director, Planning and Zoning. Laura Corey, Regional Representative, South Florida Water Management District. Freddie Scott, Commissioner Abrams' Office. Rosemary Raymond, Lake Worth Drainage. Lieutenant Lori File, PBSO. Herb Schlossberg, candidate for State Senate. Steve Kniffen, PBSO, and Major Jeffrey Calisi, PBSO. And Linda Posnack, Kings Point. Welcome all.
We'll hear an announcement from our fire department and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. So I'd like to call on took my papers. We do it.
Yes. Okay, we have our Sean Eastman from PBSO, our District 4 captain. Please come to the lectern.
Good morning. I'd like to start by saying I've slowly been trying to get myself around the communities and introduce myself. This is the first couple months that I've been in here and transitioning. I'm going to go ahead and go over a couple of the crime stats, or trends I should say. Fortunately for us, much like Newton's law, gravity, what goes up must come down. Crime was up, and now it's going down, folks. So the only thing that we've got that's going up just slightly is burglaries into vehicles. And with that, what we found is people leaving the vehicles unlocked. So what I'm going to ask is if you can spread it out to your communities. If you're leaving your vehicle unlocked to prevent somebody maybe from breaking the window, do us a favor and just make sure there's nothing in the vehicle. Because what we found is we're losing iPads, phones, some laptops. So if you're going to leave your vehicle unlocked, make sure there's nothing in there to be taken. One of the big things coming up is obviously the holidays. got Black Friday coming up, and I want to assure everybody that the Sheriff's Office is going to have some extra presence in all the plazas to make sure that we get everything transitioned or going through easily. Again, with that, make sure that you're cognizant, you're locking your vehicles as you're putting stuff in there so they're not getting burglarized. The other thing to be aware of during this time is charities and scams. It's something that's common. Don't ever give your information out over the phone with somebody calling you. Make sure that if you are donating money, which is nice to do, that you're making sure you're using a reputable charity. And other than that, the one thing I was going to ask is if you could get out there is with some of these vehicle burglaries, we do have a vehicle that we're specifically looking for. It's typically late at night, so we're not looking in the middle of the afternoon, but it's a newer model white Ford Edge. It's been seen with 3 white males in there. And basically they're driving around through the neighborhoods and just checking cars, and finding unlocked cars and stealing items out of there. So if anybody happens to see that, we haven't been able to get a tag yet. We'd appreciate it if you could get that for us, and it definitely would help us in our investigation. And that's all I've got right now.
Okay, I would, Sean, Kim Hood, Chief Berger, will you come up here, please? Chief, come on, Chief. Good morning, how are you, dear? Okay, Chief.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. One more try. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. You know, on the second one, you always do much better. I have something very special to do with Kimberly, but before I do that, I want to tell you, first of all, Megan's not here, and I know that you all miss her. She's on vacation this week, but she sends her love. November is also Veterans Month, and Veterans Day is coming up, so on behalf of my entire office, we want to thank those veterans that might be here this morning. Thank you for your service. And the other message that my staff asked me to deliver was that we want to wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving. And with that, this is Kimberly Hude. And I'll let her tell you what she does now, but she's a big boss now. But before we can have her be the big boss, I need to swear her in. So we decided that the Alliance meeting is a perfect place to do that. And so if you will indulge us, I am going to ask her to raise her right hand and repeat after me. I, Kimberly Hude,
I, Kimberly Hude,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Florida,
the Constitution of the United States of America and Florida,
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge
my duties as District Chief of Palm Beach County Fire Rescue Battalion 4
my duties as District Chief of Battalion 4 in Palm Beach County Fire Rescue
to the residents, guests, and visitors
to the residents, guests, and visitors
within the Alliance of Delray,
within the Alliance of Delray.
to the best of my skills and abilities, so help me God.
Best of my skills and abilities, so help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kimberly Hude, District Chief of Palm Beach County Battalion number 4. And if it's okay with Bob, I'm going to let her say a few words, and I will see you all in December.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm honored to be here with you and your new district chief in this area. I know I'm following some big shoes. Chief McGlynn was an amazing person. He's loved and respected, and I look forward to getting the same from you, earning that respect from you all. And I'll be working hand in hand with you and keeping our relationships positive and being here in the community. As far as the community coming on, you know, we have a lot going on. It's coming into season now. We're going to have a lot of traffic out there, so I want you guys to be careful. And there's a lot of pedestrian traffic even because people are out. It's beautiful. The weather and the climate is, this is the reason why we're here in South Florida. So let's be cognizant and watch after each other And I look forward to serving you here in Battalion 4. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lori Bergen, Representative Lori Bergen.
Thank you. Good morning, Delray Alliance. Good morning. You got warmed up for Mary Lou, thanks. So we are getting ready to start legislative session. We are full out in committees. We have 2 committees meeting in November, next week and the week after, and then 1 more in December. And then in January, we start full session, which is the 90 most dangerous days in the state of Florida when we're in session. So it's important for everybody to watch what's going on. We are hearing that the budget is going to be tighter. As you all know, Hurricane Irma had a lot of significant financial ramifications. So there will be a lot of discussion in Tallahassee. You'll be hearing that there might not be as much money to go around, even though this is an election year when you typically see more items. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to go to Tallahassee as the delegation and fight for everything for Palm Beach County, because that's what we do. We all work together as a delegation. We want to make sure that we bring things back here to Palm Beach County, and that Palm Beach County is we're going to still probably be a donor county, but we're going to try and make sure that we get as much as we can of what we give to Tallahassee. So I just want to ask that if you have any issues with Tallahassee, come see me, come call my office. We're happy to talk to you if you have ideas for legislation in Tallahassee. And finally, I just want to take this opportunity to announce that I am going to be running for state senate. Oh, I guess I'm not. Sorry. Okay, forget that. We won't take this opportunity. But thank you. All right. I file. That's all right. Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to call on our representative, Emily Schlossberg. Representative Schlossberg, come on. Yeah, by the way, you did a great job during the hurricane. I want to personally thank you for that. I saw you on a load of water in back.
Absolutely, and I learned from the best former state representative, Irv Schlossberg, taught me how important it was to be here for you during a hurricane. Thank you, Representative Irv Schlossberg.
I love your daughter.
It was my pleasure. So I'll talk a little bit about an incredibly important issue that's going on in Tallahassee, and a very big victory for the Schlossberg team. My bill, the bill that would make texting while driving a primary offense, it passed through its first committee in the Senate, which is a huge deal, huge. The number 1 cause of death for teenagers is traffic crashes. And currently, almost every other state in the nation makes it a primary offense. But in Florida, you can't get pulled over for it. It's a secondary offense. So I believe we are on our way to saving lives. And this is all in honor of my twin sister, Dory. I lost Dory in 1996, and I can't get her back, and there's nothing I can do. But Rep. Schlossberg and I are doing everything we can to make sure no other person has to go through what we went through. So I'm very excited to report this session we are going to pass some meaningful legislation on traffic safety. It's huge. Another thing that I also want to tell you about is today at 1:30 at Temple Anshe Shalom. We're having a big program, and we have the state's ombudsman program coming. And the ombudsman, what they do is volunteer. It's a total volunteer operation. And they come in, and they're our ears on the ground for residents of assisted living facilities and nursing homes, because they need volunteer citizens to come in and protect them from certain issues like the Hollywood Hills. So at 1:30 at Temple Anshe Shalom, right down the street, we're having the ombudsman program come and do a presentation, and we'll have Rep. Schlossberg and the Sheriff's Office join us. So I hope you'll all join us at 1:30, and it's in the flyer here. Bob, you'll be there, right? Well, I love my job. My office is on the corner of Hagen Ranch and Atlantic. There's Ed Souls, my district secretary. We never ask, where do you live? We ask, how can we help you? I love what I do. I love serving the people. And if you need anything, come see me, come see Ed, and we're happy to help you.
Thank you, Representative Schlossberg. Okay. Well, we're going to call on Janet McMillan. Janet, come on up here. Janet represents ADT and who is the sponsor of our breakfast this morning. Without them, you'd be sitting here with nothing to drink and nothing to eat. So we welcome them. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank Susie Uri and the board for the privilege to be here. It's great to see many of our customers, many of our community associations here as well. My name again is Janet McMillan, and I represent ADT Security Services and the Dedicated Community Association Program. That's a program that specializes in providing security services under bulk agreements to only members of community associations. That means a dedicated division with a dedicated monitoring center, dedicated technicians, customer care reps, and a management team to provide you with what we consider to be concierge level services. So we protect about 100,000 homes under bulk agreements through this team, and we would love to provide services to you. And again, we thank you for those that we are already protecting. And I'm available to assist you in any way I can. And thank you again for being here today.
Thank you, Janet. We appreciate the short speech. Okay, I guess it's time to get to the heart of our meeting today. I'm going to call on Executive Vice President Lori Berman, who's going to introduce our... is there anybody we did introduce? No? We're fine. Okay. All right, come on.
Okay, President Bob, great to see everybody here today. This is going to be an exciting meeting with the tax collector. Always gives us a great program. And Nick Uren from the Metropolitan Planning Organization. Just a few things before that. We did tell you to come and get your development update for the West Delray area. Lots of things going on. And what we have here, lots of applications have been heard already. Things are happening, but what you have in here are things that really haven't even had a public meeting yet. And we've got 4 CLFs, which are congregate living facilities, coming in the West Delray area. 1 at Sims in Lake Ida, 3 are proposed in the agricultural reserve. Plus we also have a storage facility right by Villages of Oriole, just north of the theater. And that is all explained right here, what they can and can't do, and a summary of the project is right here in this development packet. The other issue is there is a huge proposal that everybody's been hearing of in the agricultural reserve. It comes from GL Homes, and summary of that is in this packet. There were some issues about drainage problems with possible drainage problems in the agricultural reserve affecting communities east of the turnpike, and we have a letter in here from this Higgins Engineering, and also the engineer's resume is there, and he addresses the drainage issues in the Delray Beach area and the West Delray area. All information, because the more information you have, the more empowered you are. And that's what we do. We bring the information out to the public, and we listen to our communities to see what your needs are. There's also facts, because the agricultural reserve is going to be a big issue this coming winter here. There's facts about the agricultural reserve that people didn't know and are shocked when they hear. There's also a whole bunch of changes that have already occurred in the agricultural reserve, amendments that have happened from the 2016 and 2017. And also, of course, for the 20 years the Alliance has been here. This is just some of, we had to use a legal size paper. There's just some of the things we've done to protect the agricultural reserve. The other thing is there was a proposal also to agreement for purchase just a few weeks ago for the sale of a vacant parcel of land for a development of a fire station in the agricultural reserve. And that is an actual contract for sale that the county commissioners are proposing to enter into. And that has been postponed, and we are going to get more input from our neighboring communities there. Neighboring communities that are part of the alliance that surround that area of the fire station that is proposed, the land for the fire station that's proposed, are Meisner Country Club, the Bridges, Stone Creek Ranch. They are all in our alliance community. So that is going to also be discussed. So all of this is everything that's totally everything that's new. They're also, if you've heard about what's called the Morning Star Project at just west of the Turnpike, information is there. It's come down a lot, decreased in size, and the updated changes are included in this. And as always, we receive questions, we receive comments from our members, and we encourage them, and they all get heard by county staff and the commissioners. They all do. One thing about next month, we have a problem-solving day, and this is going to come by email. I also have some flyers here. Next month is going to be fantastic. We're going to have our Joshua Gersten, our attorney, come back. Going to be speaking on board defamation, actually. When people say things bad about boards and write emails and put things on the internet, how bad people are, that we're going to all find out about how to handle that board defamation and what your rights are as board members. And also the IRS is going to be here to help you to explain and explain and help to problem solve. So that is from Congresswoman Lois Frankel. She arranged this for us as well. So we're going to have a jam-packed program next month. Right now, what we've all been waiting for is Ann Gannon, tax collector. She is the constitutional tax collector for Palm Beach County. She's responsible for the collection and disbursement of over $3 billion in Palm Beach County tax revenues. We all know her from previous years. She served in the state legislature. She is a champion for us. Please help me welcome Ann Gannon.
Good morning. How are you all doing? Today's November 1st. You might get your tax bill today or later in the week, but they have gone out, and we are required to mail them prior to November the 1st, so it should come. But if you got your term notice, you probably won't see any difference in your tax bill.
Oh, nice.
As you all, that typically is what happens, yeah. For you all who don't know much history about the tax collector's office, it was actually created in 1885, and at the time the position was created, it was a 2-year position. And in 1914, the 2-year was changed to 4 years. And Palm Beach County's first tax collector was John F. Higginbottom. And I'm sure he probably comes from some prominent family, and there's still a lot of them around. Which I see a gentleman there shaking his head yes. I'm having computer problems. Ah, there it is. Just takes a little longer. Okay. Our office was actually established through the Florida Constitution, and we're an independent office. We're not really part of the county government, but we are an independent office, and there's a couple reasons for that. It keeps us free from influence by local or state agencies that have the power to levy taxes. And I will share with you, in Miami-Dade County about 10 years ago, they had an appointed property appraiser, and the city or the county manager wanted to increase the tax base, so he instructed the property appraiser to increase the values on property. Since then, Miami-Dade has gone back to an elected property appraiser. We also do not assess property. The property appraiser does, which is establishing the value of your property. The clerk of the court actually invests the money, and it's really about the separation of powers, so that there's no one hand doing all this, but there are different constitutional officers. We do have a 4-year term, and we provide the following services, which I'm sure all of you have used our services. We collect property taxes for every local government agency that has the power to levy taxes. We administer the local business tax receipts and tourist development taxes. And this year in our business receipts, our local business tax receipts program, we actually used part of the statute that we've never used, which we had 10,000 people in our county who did not pay their business receipts tax. We actually sent them a notice, told them they were going to be fined $250. We went to court. We do have an ongoing lawsuit. There are about 1,000 of those people left, but what that did for the county is we actually collected over $1 million in additional fees for the business tax. So that's a number and that the county now has access to put in their program and spend in their budget, which they did not have before. And we are the agent for the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, the DEP, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. We issue all the wildlife licenses, and the Department of Revenue. As I'm told, our computer is slow. Let's see if we can. Well. Did you take that presentation that I... yes. Takes a little time. That's like...
It's the county's computer, so we all...
No, it's not. It's my office's computer. And it appears that we need to get a new one. We do issue driver's licenses and ID card issues. We are in the process of implementing fingerprinting in our office also. So if you're in a job where you're required to be fingerprinted, we're working with our vendor to implement that in 2 of our offices. You can do motor vehicle registration, vessel registrations, HOV decals, hunting and fishing licenses, sun pit pass sales, and you can get a Florida certified birth certificate through our office, and we do disabled parking permits. I'm sure many of you have used these offices. One of the things if you're not Real ID driver's license compliant, and the way you would know that is in the upper right-hand corner of your driver's license, there's a gold star, then you must come in our office to get your new driver's license. And you have to bring a number of identification papers, which you can download, the papers that you need to bring off of our website. And as all of you may not know or know, driver's licenses are now good for 8 years. We have a new driver's license, a new look that was just introduced in our office actually last week, which is heightened security on driver's licenses. And it was done, they tell us that it's the highest security of any driver's license in the country now. And of course it was done because there are a lot of counterfeiting of driver's licenses. This is like... We do tourist development tax collections. As you know, if you rent out a room or your home for under 6 months, you're required to register and to pay the tax, and it's not you personally that pays the tax. The person who rents your room or your house is charged that tax, and you must remit it to the county. We do new business listings, tangible personal property tax collection, which is, if you have a business, all the furniture and fixtures are taxed. And we have there's an assessment process that the property appraiser office does, and then we actually collect the taxes. And real estate property tax collection, as you know, your tax bill should be there today. So look at your tax bill, and it will tell you on there you can pay over the internet. If you use a credit card, there's a fee. It's not a fee that we keep, it's a fee that our vendor keeps that processes the credit card. If you pay by e-check, it is free, but you must remember it takes from 7 to 10 days for your bank to issue that check and for us to receive it. So if you send that to me on November the 30th and take the November discount, it will be returned to you, and you will then only get the 3% discount in December. So please be cognizant of that. You can't just write a check and send to us. Please do not staple it, paper clip it, write on your coupon. Don't write me love notes, because I get a lot of those. But what that really does, what that really does is it kicks your payment out, and we set it aside, because our job is to process as many payments as we can, as quickly as we can, during November and December. And those are set aside, and they have to be hand processed, which is why you sometimes call our office and say, hi, my check hasn't been deposited in my bank. Well, the reason it hasn't been deposited is because it was pulled out and put in another pile and could not be processed through our high-speed center. So don't write me love notes. I'm just going to use my presentation and talk to you till these slides come up. I don't know. This has got to be the county network, right, Mary Lou? Just a joke. It went back to the beginning. Thank you. So we're on page 6. Anyhow, we get our authority to collect taxes from the Florida Constitution, and we collect on behalf of the state of Florida and the Palm Beach County and local municipalities. And we collect property tax, tangible personal property tax, tourist development tax, and business tax receipts. And we act on behalf of, we've kind of gone through who we act on behalf of. So let me just say that we have 7 service centers. We are in the process up in PGA in North County of building a new building and combining the 2 offices that we have next door to each other. That building should probably, we haven't started construction. We're going through the approval process with North Palm Beach right now, but that's moving ahead, and we should have a new building up there probably within the next year and a half that will better serve our clients and actually combine our services into one building, which from our perspective, it decreases the number of supervisors that we need and managers that we need. I know that you all don't believe this, but we serve about 75,000 clients monthly in our offices. And last year we served 915,000 clients in our offices. We have a call center that's in our new building in Lake Worth, and we actually answered 321,000 calls of people calling in, asking questions. And our educational outreach events, we do about 230 or 250 of those every year throughout the county. We have what's called a client advocate in our office. If you have an issue and you don't want to call, you can email us, and we will get back to you within a certain time period with the issue that you've raised or explain to you how to do what you want to do. And we receive about 13,000 of those every year that are answered in our office. The property tax collection, for those of you who may not understand or have forgotten, property tax is really set by each taxing authority for properties within their boundaries. So if you live in Delray, if you look on your tax bill, there may be the Lake Worth Drainage District, the South Florida Water Management District, the Children's Services Council. They all set that budget themselves. And the property value is set by the property appraiser's office and is times the millage rate that the county or the taxing district, plus the non-ads that they determine the value of. And that is how your assessment is based on the cost of the service provided, how your assessment and your tax bill is set. As you know, the annual bill comes out November the 1st. In November, you get a 4% discount. In December, you get a 3% discount. In January, you get a 2% discount. And in February, you get a 1% discount. We do have what's called an installment payment plan. It allows you to pay 4 payments quarterly. You must sign up by April 30th if you want to be in the installment plan. And we do send you a bill. If you don't pay that, then you're kicked out of the installment plan for that year, and you have to, then by the end of the year, your full taxes are due. But the other thing, by April the 1st, if you have not paid your taxes, they are delinquent. And we have a grace period from April the 1st to June the 1st, where you are given an opportunity to pay your taxes delinquent, but there are fees and interests that are applied to that. So it really is a higher amount of taxes that you would pay. June the 1st, we have what's called a tax certificate sale. We actually sell your taxes at an online auction to investors. Those can be redeemed, but you pay an interest rate and handling charges and other fees to the investment company who purchases your taxes. We typically have about $100 million in unpaid taxes in Palm Beach County, and in that grace period, there are about 15 million that are paid in that grace period. So our auction is typically about $85 or $81 million, and last year we sold 100% of our certificates to investment people. And why that's important is because Mary Lou depends on us collecting that money to fund the budget that she and other commissioners and other taxing districts have actually put in place in our county. In the 2017 property tax, we actually mailed 694,000 bills to people. And the revenue that we built was $3.7 billion. And the largest tax bill in our county is $96 million. Can anybody guess who that is? No, it's not. I wish. No, it's FP&L. It's the highest tax bill in our county because of all the properties and all the equipment that they own. The school district actually receives about $1.2 billion. $780 million goes to Palm Beach County. And keep in mind that while that may seem like a lot of money to you, about 48% of that is the sheriff's budget. So it's not really a lot of money that the county commissioners have to spend to do all the services in our county. Our municipalities get $549 million, and other taxing authorities get $940 million. So this year, I believe that we have an increase, a very slight increase in taxes. I think it's $3.7 billion this year. The tangible personal property tax, as I said, it's assessed on business furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And if you're in business, it really has to be paid by March the 31st or it's delinquent. And we do go to court and get the tax roll certified. And then there's a whole legal process that we go through to collect those driver's licenses. That is, DHS and MV business is about 51% of our business now. When we took over a driver's license, it was overwhelming, as I'm sure you know. But we think we have a good program in place. It is busy, and last year we issued 194,000 driver's licenses in Palm Beach County. And about 29,000 identification cards for people who can't drive but need an ID card. And those ID cards are real ID compliant also. We administered about 49,000 tests in our offices to people who want their the driving test. We have an awful lot of young people that come online in August to get their learning permit or their driver's license. And I would, if Lori can figure it out, maybe we could get to the picture about, oh good, get to the picture about the new driver's licenses. The background's white. They're actually pretty nice. If your driver's license is still relevant, you do not have to come get a new license until your driver's license is due. And that typically is, your driver's license is good for 8 years now. When you do get the notice, do not wait until the last day to try and make an appointment the day before your birthday, because it's not going to happen. You're going to have to come in and sit, bring a good book, and you will get your driver's license then. But if you get that notice today, you need to go on our website and make an appointment immediately. And if you're going to miss that appointment, if you would let us know, that would be helpful, because then we can fill that slot with someone else. The ink on the new card is ultraviolet, and it's a 1D barcode. It has a magnetic strip, which is 2D barcode, and there's redundant data. And if you're a veteran, we've had a lot of suggestions because the V that we put on driver's licenses, which is what was required by statute under the laws that the legislators passed, has been changed. And so the veteran portion is much more prominent, as you can see. Or if there's another designation that you want on there, it's really much more prominent. So it's actually better, especially for people who are veterans, because I know how important that identification is to our veterans. Our tourist development tax is collected on any unit rented or leased for 6 months or less, as well as on the license granted to rent. So you really need a business receipts tax to do this, plus to register to pay the tax, and it has to be paid monthly. We are in the process of adding to our property tax program, our software, so that you'll be able to go into our website and register through the website. You'll be able to pay through that. That should be on our website in the next, I would say the next 4 months. We're in testing that right now, but that will make it much easier for people to pay. We are working with the county right now to rewrite the bed tax ordinance to give us more power to be able to collect that tax and make it easier for us. I hope that you will also understand our local business tax applies to home-based businesses and one-person companies. You are required under Palm Beach County ordinance to have a business receipts tax. And applications, you can go to our website, and it can be paid July 1st to September the 30th. And they're delinquent October 1st, and they're subject to monthly penalties. Also, you can pay on our website, which is palmbeachcountytax.com. You can sign up for property tax installation payment. You can pay your property taxes, renew your business receipts tax, make a DL appointment, and you can check our service center wait times. Keep in mind that that time you see is real time at the moment that you check. So if it says there's a 10-minute wait and you get to the office and there's a 40-minute wait, that's real time when you check it out. You can find many answers to questions or read our publications. We have really made a very strong effort to educate our public, to make it easier for them to use our services and to create less confusion. Our wait times you can check at Wait PBC 241411. And all the security requirements for Real ID are on our website. You can renew your driver's license for 2 years. I personally don't do that. I don't want to give the state my money to use. And if you remember, a couple years ago, they changed it and they increased the fees, and then they changed them the next year, and there were people that had paid 2 years and they wanted a refund. And unfortunately, the state doesn't give you a refund. They just keep your money. The challenges that we see in our office, our Delray Beach office has no ability to add additional staff. The office is too small. We are looking for land in the ag reserve area to move that office. We have to. We can't provide the services. Every time there's a new house or condo or townhouse built, it adds 2.3 people to come into our office, which is why our offices are so busy at this time. We are looking and working with the city of North Palm Beach up in the northwest corridor of the county in a new town called Avenir. We're working with them because they got money from, or land from the developer, and we are going to have an office up there and probably close our Royal Palm Beach office because there's no ability to add additional parking there, and that's one of the issues in that office. You can't get into the office because of the parking. We are currently working with the Lake Worth Drainage District and FP&L and FP&L is a whole nother issue. But with the Lake Worth Drainage District, we're adding 125 more parking places to our Lake Worth office, which will facilitate more consumers being able to come in, and you're not going to have to circle the parking lot. But hopefully that will be done by next April. It's taken longer than we thought. We thought it would just be overnight. It's not overnight. We've run into some challenges at the facility, so we're working on it, and we're working all these things with our customer in mind to make it easier for you all to use our services. And I would be glad to answer any questions.
As far as that goes, we've got the cards that are on your tables. They're sufficient for anybody. If anybody has a question, fill out the card, please, and hand it in. You know that's the process.
Raise your hand and we'll pick it up.
If you have a question, okay. Okay. Anybody else has a question, just fill out a card. Okay. Are you closing any other offices? Just had a question about that.
No.
No, okay. Okay. That'll go for the next speaker as well, please. For Nick Uren, please have a card here. The question is, how come my license issued in May does not look like the one on the screen?
Your driver's license? Because we just implemented this. We just got the printers to do it last week. They just put in new printers throughout our systems. That's why. But you don't have to go get this license. Your license is good for 8 years.
Okay. Okay, and there was a question over here. Yeah, we need a card filled out, so we have your name and your organization, too. Okay, great. I'll give it back.
You won't get pulled over. It's good.
My license expires in 2021. When do I have to get a new license?
2021. The midnight of your birthday. If you do not do it, then there is a special fine they give you.
Lots of licensing questions. Okay, great, great. And another card. Okay. They're right on the tables here. And, okay. Thank you very much. We'll give you the question after, and then maybe we'll let the lady know. Okay, thank you. Last question. Okay, what does the star do for you?
Well, that star is a result of 9/11. It says that you have furnished your birth certificate or your passport, a certified copy, to proof of residence, your original Social Security card. You had to prove who you were. And Congress, after 9/11, passed that law. And it's actually going to be fully implemented in 2019. If you do not have a gold star, you will not be able to get on a commercial airline flight in this country. So my suggestion to you is to get all your documents together and come in our office, because we'd love to see you and help you.
They're asking for a phone number, and I don't see it here, so you can give them a phone number to call.
If you want to just go on our website, it's listed there. Because I don't know what the main number is, I have to tell you. I only know what my number is. Well, no, because we have people, we actually have people that could answer your questions so that you wouldn't have to get through two more. I think it's 355-2264, but I'm not sure.
Okay, and we have this very nice card here, but there is no number there either. So we'll get that out to you on the next email. Okay? Thank you so much for coming and giving the update.
Thank you all. If you have any questions, please go on our website and email our client advocate. We'll be glad to help you.
Our next speaker is Nick Uren, as he's getting his projector there set up, which is already state-of-the-art MPO here. He is the Executive Director of the Palm Beach County Metropolitan Planning Organization, which plans, prioritizes, and funds transportation projects and programs. So every 5 years, they update the long-range plan. We're going to be hearing something about that today, about the Atlantic Avenue widening project, which we are all, of course, concerned with, our infrastructure. Please help me welcome Nick Uren.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. Again, my name is Nick, and it's my privilege to represent the governing board of the Palm Beach Metropolitan Planning Organization in our presentation to you this morning. I'm going to talk mostly about the status of Atlantic Avenue projects, but I do want to take a moment to give you an overview of some of the other things that are happening at the MPO. First, a reminder, the MPO, am I not, you want me to be louder? Okay, all right. It felt loud to me. Feels loud to you? Okay. The MPO is a governing board comprised of 21 locally elected officials. So we have 5 of the 7 county commissioners on our governing board. We have 15 municipal officials from our 13 largest cities in Palm Beach County. Boca and West Palm, by virtue of their population, each have 2 votes. And then we have 1 port commissioner, 1 Port of Palm Beach commissioner. That makes up our 21. Our mission at the MPO is to collaboratively plan, prioritize, and fund transportation. That's our deal. We are a transportation planning agency. And our vision is to create a safe, efficient, connected, and multimodal transportation system. I wanted to give you a brief highlight of the governing board. And this is a photograph of us touring the now nearly complete and operational Brightline Station. We were touring that facility in January of this year. And I've highlighted Commissioner Mary Lou Berger right there in the middle of the governing board members on the tour. A couple of things that are going on at the MPO. We are rebranding as the Palm Beach Transportation Planning Agency, primarily because we found that Metropolitan Planning Organization was hard to say. Nobody knew what we did. We are the transportation planning agency for Palm Beach County. We want to improve the visibility of the agency. We're also transitioning from being hosted by Palm Beach County government to an independent agency so that we can establish maximum flexibility and empower all of our 21 elected officials in the communities they represent to lead in the transportation planning process. We are focusing on complete streets. And what that means, I've got a graphic here of US 1 in Delray Beach, is that we're looking at every roadway as an opportunity for people to move, whether they are on foot, on a bicycle, riding a transit vehicle, using a commercial vehicle to provide a delivery or a service, or using a personal vehicle to travel along that corridor. We are trying to make sure that we are constructing safe facilities for all types of users and users of all ages and abilities. We want to make sure that the roads that we build in Palm Beach County are comfortable places for you to travel, regardless of how old you are, how skilled you are, or what mode you choose to use. We are also monitoring, and this gets into the Atlantic Avenue component of this discussion, we are monitoring traffic volumes and development activity. I've got the bar chart on the left of this slide. This is an aerial photo looking at the western portion of Atlantic Avenue. North is to your right, west is up on this graphic. So you're looking westward, you can see the Delray Marketplace, traditional marketplace development is there on the near corner of Atlantic and Lyons Road. This is the 2-lane section of Lyons Road. We count the number of cars that cross that roadway every year. We do the count during the peak season, January, February, or March, to make sure that we're capturing the point in time when most people are traveling on that road. We monitor the growth in traffic on that road, and that helps us decide when we should allocate funds to make it a wider roadway to accommodate that additional growth. I focused this slide on just the west piece, but we do the same thing for every road segment throughout Palm Beach County. So we're doing the same thing on Atlantic Avenue from Lyons to the Turnpike, from Turnpike to Hagen Ranch, from Hagen Ranch to Jog. Also wanted to highlight, we pay close attention to the development activities in the area. When properties go from farmland to houses, to shopping centers, to office space, to schools, we keep track of that because, as our previous speaker mentioned, every time you see a new building permit, that means more people in the area, and more people means more traffic, more mobility needs that we have to satisfy. I've highlighted just a handful of the development activities that are going on in the West Delray and the Delray Alliance general area. We've got the Valencia Cove South project is 586 units, Monticello over there at the State Road 7 Flavor Pick Corridor is another 283 residential units. You've got the Happy Hollow Charter School on Lyons Road. You've got the Sussman property, another 387 units. The Seven Bridges corridor or development on the Lyons Road corridor, another 1,300 units. Another Bridges project that GL Homes is constructing, 400 units on the east side of Lyons Road. You've got the Atlantic Commons just east of the Turnpike, 853 units in total, and then Bellagio Isles around 600 units. Lots of development activity. These are additional people that are going to become your neighbors in this area of Palm Beach County that are going to also expect to be served, whether they're in their cars or walking or biking or riding transit in this part of Palm Beach County. That said, with the monitoring, we are also programming funds at the MPO. These are state and federal gas tax dollars primarily that we are programming to construct transportation projects. In particular, the west piece of Atlantic, State Road 7 to Lyons Road. The MPO voted in September of 2014 to say it's time to start the process. Start the process, it's a long process. Start the process of designing, buying the land needed to build, and then constructing a 4-lane Atlantic Avenue that will look like a complete street. It will have attractive bicycle and pedestrian facilities in addition to providing additional turn lanes and through lanes for your cars as you travel along the corridor. In response to the MPO's vote saying do this, the Florida DOT, who owns that corridor, has programmed design funds, and they're underway right now. They're designing the widening of that corridor as we speak. We're actually just concluded fiscal year 17. They are going to be buying the right-of-way necessary for that widening project in fiscal year 19, 20, and 21, and a little bit more in 22. And they have programmed construction funding for that western section of Atlantic Avenue for fiscal year 22. So that's the date. Fiscal year 22 on a state calendar actually starts July 1 of 2021. That's the point in time when we should see a construction contract awarded, contractors out there moving the dirt and making that road project happen. Additionally, 2 years later, just a year ago from this point in time, in September of 2016, the MPO, again monitoring the traffic volumes and the development activities, said it's time to start that same process for the section of Lyons Road, of Atlantic Avenue rather, from Lyons Road east to Jog Road. That's a little bit more complicated of a corridor because it's a little bit tighter footprint with respect to the right-of-way needed to widen it. But we are looking right now, in response to the MPO's vote, the Department of Transportation is going to be doing what they call project development and environmental analysis in fiscal years 19 and 20, and then full design programming funding in fiscal year 22. They're going to have to acquire some right-of-way and work out some agreements with the Lake Worth Drainage District on the south side of that corridor if they're going to be able to widen it. So construction work and right-of-way acquisition dollars are going to be outside of our 5-year window, but they are anticipated to come in the new 5th and 6th year as we do our annual updates. So that's the big picture on Atlantic Avenue. I know it's probably not as fast as some of you would like to see it, but I want you to understand we are dealing with public money and private property owners who have rights along the corridor. We want to make sure we're designing these roadways to be the best possible facilities to serve your community's needs, and we want to make sure that we're only acquiring the minimal property necessary to construct those facilities and implement those projects. In addition to the Atlantic Avenue widening, I want to touch on just a handful of, and really just let you know, there are a lot of other projects that are affecting this area. This is only highlighting, this slide is only highlighting projects that are going to be under construction in the next 12 months. Construction commencement. First, on the west end, the county is going to be widening Lyons Road from Atlantic Avenue south to Clintmore Road. They're also going to be building a westbound to northbound right turn lane at both of the turnpike intersections. So today, as you're traveling westbound on Atlantic Avenue, if you want to go on the turnpike going north or going south, if you go under the bridge and then make that right turn, there's no dedicated right turn lane for you in either of those locations. The county is going to be going in, widening the canal bridge on the east side and constructing both of those right turn lanes in the next year to give you easier access to the turnpike. Now, I will ask you, as you're benefiting from that easier access, please do remember that there may be pedestrians or bicyclists also traveling along Atlantic Avenue. Pay attention to them. Watch out for them. They have a right to be there just as you have a right to get onto the turnpike. Let's make sure that those interactions are happening safely at those intersections. The county is also going to be doing intersection improvement over there at Jog Road and Linton Boulevard. And then want to mention the DOT is going to be constructing a major interchange improvement at I-95 and Atlantic Avenue to improve the ability to get cars on and off of I-95 at that location, as well as to improve the safety of the experience crossing the interchange for the pedestrians and the bicycles. That's it. That's all I have for my presentation. I want to close with this. We are thrilled to work with our important agencies, our stakeholders in our community. I know you guys have an opportunity to ask questions, but the MPO is here working with you and for you to build a community that will serve the best interests of all of your residents. And I really want this opportunity to be a moment in time when we can understand and address your concerns related to transportation and make sure that we are using the dollars you are contributing when you pay taxes at the pump to projects and services that do the most good for your communities. Again, on my behalf, or on behalf of the governing board, it's my pleasure to be with you this morning, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. We have a question here. Okay, first from our commissioner.
Thank you. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed Nick's explanation of Atlantic Avenue. But Nick, could you please explain to people under whose jurisdiction Atlantic Avenue lies?
Sure. Yeah, Atlantic Avenue is a state road, so it's controlled by the Florida Department of Transportation. That means the land in between the sidewalks is all Florida DOT right-of-way. It's their job to figure out how to construct a road project within that right-of-way, and if they can't fit it in, it's their job to go out and buy land from the adjacent property owners or work out an agreement with the adjacent property owners. If it's in the north side, it's going to be private property. If it's on the south side, it'll be Lake Worth Drainage District, but they're going to be the one leading that effort in figuring out how to construct a better roadway for the cars, bikes, and pedestrians that are operating there, and then they're ultimately going to be the one who owns that road when it's constructed as well.
We have a question here. How is the traffic development coordinated with the agricultural reserve development?
So, two parts. I'm on the planning side, and we're allocating funds to react to development activities decisions made at the local level by our elected officials, either in the county or on the city level. My job is to allocate federal and state dollars, subject to approval by our governing board, to the projects that meet created demands by growth. The county and each of our cities have their own regulations for what tests they ask a developer to satisfy when they come forward and say, hey, we would like to turn this farm into this many houses, or this many square feet of office, or this many square feet of retail. The county is the entity that requires that test to be satisfied, and county staff, in the case of the Ag Reserve, are the ones who evaluate a developer's proposal and say, your proposal shows that we have enough space on our roads, our bike lanes, our sidewalks to accommodate your project. You can go forward, and then the county commission takes that information into consideration, and they vote yes or no on a development application, either a rezoning or a land use amendment. I hope that answered the question in sort of general terms.
It did not, no.
You want to know?
My question is basically this. We live in Western Delray. We live right off of Atlantic Avenue. That road going west is already overused. When we think about the developments that are proposed, we are frightened and upset that the transportation is not going to be able to support these developments. So the question was asking for a timeline. Who gets to develop first? The Agriculture Reserve or the Department of Transportation? We don't want to be in a position to have the Agricultural Reserve be ahead of the transportation.
Sure. And
Nick, can you explain the recent legislation that happened a few years ago about concurrency?
Sure.
That really messed us up, and it was a terrible, terrible thing that happened.
well,
Can
so
you explain that?
So the word concurrency is an important term for Florida growth management. Concurrent means at the same time, right? Straightforward. We turned it into a noun. It was supposed to be an adjective. In Florida, we turned it into a noun and called it concurrency. And the idea was a developer shouldn't be able to build more houses until the public entity responsible for providing stuff to serve those houses was able to build that stuff. Whether it's a water line or a road, that stuff was supposed to happen at the same time. Palm Beach County was a fantastic example of rigorous implementation of that requirement. So projects would come forward, and Sarah's a good example from GL Homes. They would get a list of 7 or 8 or 26 conditions that said you can't have more than 471 building permits until the right turn lane is built at Hagen Ranch and Atlantic Avenue. And they would get to 471, and they would say, hey county, we want our building permit. When are you going to get that road done? And they would put pressure on the county to get the road done, and the county would say, okay, you can't go past that threshold until we have a contract underway for the road. That made sure things happened at the same time. Several years ago, the state of Florida, through their legislature, decided that's not reasonable to put the development community on hold when a public infrastructure provider has not performed on the same schedule. So the developer, instead of waiting for that piece of infrastructure, is now allowed to write a check to the provider of the infrastructure for their proportionate share of the cost of that road project, etc. So now, when a developer like GL Homes reaches .471 in their building permit threshold, they say, oh man, we want 472. Here's our check for $480,000 for our share of that right turn lane. I'm making up numbers, but that's the concept. So now the developer is allowed to construct those additional units because they've provided their contribution to the public agency to provide that piece of infrastructure that serves that project. It puts a lot more pressure on the public agency to deliver infrastructure in a timely manner. What I've demonstrated to you is that we are doing our best to get those projects out of the ground and on the street. I do want to make sure you are aware, developers can't build their stuff overnight either. They may be a little bit more efficient than we are on the public side, a little bit, but they struggle with their contractors, they struggle with their plans, they struggle with their permits just like we do. And they're working diligently to get their stuff out of the ground just like the DOT is working diligently to get these road projects underway to serve the demands that these developments are creating.
And what this civic organization does is we work on that, the state. We worked on them with the Sims Road traffic light, and we worked and worked on it. There was finally one little easement that had that delayed it a month and a half with this extra little easement they had to get, but this is what happens. But we're on the case, and this is what we need to do. The Alliance keeps lobbying the state government, the state FDOT to work together with everyone. We've had meetings with the stakeholders along Atlantic Avenue to get this widened, and we'll continue to do so, but we need to move this project up. And we'll try to move heaven and earth to do that some way. And I know if anybody can do it, Bob can do it. Okay, and speaking of Sims Road, we have a question. What is the status of Sims Road and the opening to Atlantic Avenue to connect Atlantic to Linton?
So that's a great question. I want to introduce a new name to you. If you haven't had a chance to meet him, he's the person you should invite to your next meeting, next open meeting for a presentation of the Delray Alliance. The man's name is David Ricks. He is the county engineer for Palm Beach County, He replaced George Webb, who retired at the end of August. George Webb served for several decades as the county engineer in Palm Beach County. And the reason I point to David is because that is a county road. It would not be funded through the MPO's planning process. It would be funded through the county engineering allocation of either gas taxes or developer-paid impact fees to construct that roadway. David and his team would present a proposed timeline to Mary Lou and the other 6 county commissioners. The county commissioners would then say, okay, we understand that's the right use of the funds and that's the right schedule, and we vote yes, and that project would happen. That's the process that would follow. To my knowledge, that connection is not in their 5-year road program. So if that becomes a priority for the Delray Alliance, you need to share that information with David and say, David, how can we make this happen sooner?
And that would be something that you would have known about since it directly intersects the state road, Atlantic Avenue.
Sure.
So you have no information on, which means it's not coming anytime soon.
I don't
That we know of. But we'll get in touch with David Briggs, and I spoke to him last week about another issue. We'll work with that. Yes. You have to fill a card out. You have to fill a card out. You really have to fill, but this is a previous board member, and he is, believe it or not, this man, Harold Kleiner, is an original board member of the Alliance of Delray, one of the first board members, so we're going to let him speak.
If we extended Flavor Pick to Lions Road, you'd get a lot of traffic off Atlantic Avenue.
And he used to be on the MPO, too, Citizens Advisory Committee. Go ahead.
So that was a statement of fact. I agree. I agree, but I would also acknowledge that Flavor Pick Road is, again, a county corridor. It's a county roadway. They would need an interaction with the turnpike, so that would be an interface the MPO could help with. But the county would be the one making a decision to construct a new roadway from Lyons Road to Hagen Ranch Road that they would call Flavor Pick, that would exist in the same place as Flavor Pick does on the Hagen Ranch side. So again, that's a suggestion for David Ricks, an allocation of the road impact fees that development on, let's see, which one, on this slide, all of those building permits that are going to be issued for these projects are going to pay the county road impact fees. The county has to decide where to spend those road impact fees. You've just given them 2 suggestions for their consideration when they choose where to put those dollars.
This is such an important subject, and we have so many people here today. You can see we have one card coming from the back, which maybe we'll end that with that card. And then Nick, your friend here will stick around and maybe answer some questions to some people who might want to address him personally. On this other card, we did have another question. It has to do with the water district. What approvals have you received from the water district? Now this is something, this went along with the question about the coordination of development with the Ag Reserve. Do you deal with the Palm Beach County Water Utilities Department or Water District, anything like that?
Okay, so Water Utilities County Agency, no, we're not really dealing with them. I think the primary question here was with respect to the Lake Worth Drainage District, who owns the drainage canal on the south side of the Atlantic Avenue corridor. And the answer is that the Department of Transportation, who is leading the design of a road project on Atlantic Avenue, is the one who is interfacing directly with the Lake Worth Drainage District and saying, how much land do you need to maintain, do you need to have in order to have proper slopes for your canal and enough stabilized grass area so that you can run your maintenance equipment along the canal and keep that drainage system clear of obstructions. It's an important task they have to serve our communities, to make sure that we are protected in the event of major rainfall events. We don't want flooding. So the drainage district is tasked with making sure they can drain the area properly. The DOT is working together with the drainage district to decide what width of right-of-way the drainage district must have and what land is available to the DOT to allow for the widening of Atlantic Avenue to move the cars. So I'm not on the lead of interacting with the drainage district, but I know that the interaction is happening, and anything I can do to accelerate those decisions and the partnership between the Florida DOT and the Lake Worth Drainage District, the MPO is ready to do that and participating in those discussions.
Okay, we have a final question here. It seems that people would like a little review of of the plans, because there's so much congestion on Atlantic Avenue, the plans to build going from the Marketplace, Lyons Road to Hagen Ranch Road. Can you just repeat, give us a little review of what's happening in the timeline for that?
Sure. So going back to this slide, and it's the bottom half, I apologize for the small text. The development of that project is going to be happening in 19 and 20, which is really late 18 through early 20. That's the time frame for deciding what a 6-lane roadway, it's 4 lanes today from the Marketplace to Jog Road. We're going to go all the way to Jog, we're not going to stop at Hagen. We're going to look at what does a 6-lane road look like, how can we fit it into the right-of-way available, where do we need to buy land, what do bicycle facilities look like on the corridor, what do pedestrian facilities need to look like on that corridor. Those decisions are all going to be made over the next 2 years, 3 years. Then we're going to get into the detailed design, which is essentially looking at where does rain land and where do we put drainage inlets to properly drain that roadway and accommodate all of the runoff and make sure we're not polluting the drainage canals, etc. So we get into sort of the more detailed stuff. Where do we locate the underground electric to serve the traffic lights? Where do we put the, you know, lots of detailed decisions. But the concept of how to build the road and what it will look like will be made during project development. That's the next 2 years to 3 years. Then we're going to look for construction funding. And I'll be honest, the dollars associated with Lyons Road to Jog, that project is estimated at around $77 million. So we're going to be accumulating funds over the next 5 to 7 years to properly and fully fund the construction of that roadway. It's one of our most expensive projects on the MPO's priority list, but it is a priority of the MPO to find the dollars from either state or federal sources and to get this project built.
Just one thing about that $77 million thing that we were all discussing at the meeting we had with all the stakeholders there, and Lake Worth Drainage District was there, and the engineers from Lake Worth Drainage District were there, and the county. They were all thinking that they were going to need to purchase easements north on Atlantic Avenue, the whole north length. But they don't have to, they can't, because there is no more expansion of the road that can happen north. So they were happy about that, and it has to all be south. So they won't have to really purchase all that, and some of that money, a lot of that money was going to be for purchasing easements. So maybe if the price comes down, the project can happen sooner. Can you respond to that?
Again, a statement of fact I hope proves true as well. Yes.
Okay. We want to thank you very much for the information. I want to also make a statement about the Delray Alliance and the board. Life has become very complicated for us. This is only one instance where we have to be aware of everything that's going on in the county, in connection with every county official and everything else. We're just not here to make meetings. We work on this diligently. It's a complicated life. There's all kind of things. I'm 90 years old. I'm not sure I have a handle on this anymore. But on the board, we have younger people who do. And so they deserve a round of applause for all their work and whatever we have to do to make these things happen. And we work on it every day. We take Sundays off, but we work on it every day. And so if you have any questions for the Alliance board or us, feel free to call us, send us emails, keep in touch with us, and we'll keep bringing these programs to you. And one of our primary things is working on Atlantic Avenue. And we're going to do the very best we can, but as you can see, it's way far behind, ahead of us, and we can't make anything happen unless we have about $50 million to give them. So have a good weekend, a good day, and we'll see you all next month.